G'day, mate. What's your name?
I wasn't expecting that question.
Go on.
It's Bruce Griffiths.
Bruce Griffiths. And what do you do, Bruce Griffiths?
My brain is flashing through every awful answer ever given by someone in the front row of a comedy gig ever.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Crowdworkcast. My name's Andrew Barnett. Thanks very much for joining me. Right at the top, I do need to give a plug to my Sydney Comedy Festival show. That will be on at the Wildflower Wine Bar at the Enmore Theatre on April 27th and 28th. That's the Saturday and the Sunday. Saturday, 6:45 p.m. Sunday, 5:45 p.m. Nice early times, so it won't dominate your whole night. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're out there and you'd like to see me live, please get tickets, sydneycomedyfestival.com. There's a link in the description of this as well. So you'll be all good there. Now, today's episode is Bruce Griffiths. Now, Bruce is, well, this is probably the episode I've had to edit most, for no other reason than Bruce is an incredibly interesting person who thinks he's incredibly boring and was actually kind of nervous at the start of this. So he took a while to warm up. He was speaking very slowly, very deliberately. There's a couple of things he goes, oh, you'll have to edit this out. You'll have to edit that out, big pauses and stuff. So I actually have done some editing. If you're watching that on YouTube, you'll notice where I've edited stuff out. But Bruce is super interesting, even if he doesn't believe it. He's one of the most precise joke writers I think I've ever worked with. He is a one-liner comedian, so him and I perform together quite a bit, and I thoroughly enjoy it. If you get a chance to see him, definitely do. He's also written for TV, for movies, for all sorts of stuff. He's opened as a stand-up for Henry Rollins. You'll hear him talk about that at the back end of the episode. And then, you know what? I will have to get him back at some stage. I think I'm trying to work out how to get him comfortable so he just goes into telling his stories. Because literally after we switched the camera off, he was telling me about different comedy series. He's written for Fisk. He's written for all different stuff, and he was telling me other stories about comedians he's worked with, people he's opened for, just crazy stories that he, for some reason, doesn't think are interesting because they involve him. So yeah, he speaks slowly. It takes him a little while to warm up, but really, if you can stick with it through this episode, because it's an absolute cracker. He's such an interesting bloke, and it's a lot of fun. If you are enjoying the podcast, like, subscribe, do all that sort of good stuff. Other than that, let's just rip into it. This is my episode with Bruce Griffiths.
Now, one of the things that I love working with you is it's your joke style. You're probably the most precise person, joke writer, I think, that I work with regularly anyway. Like, you're very economical with your words. So I want to talk to you about that process of how you go about constructing a joke, because you don't waste words. But to start off with, the other thing I've noted, like I was thinking when I was on the way in here about you, is you are, like, if you and I had just met socially and neither of us had started comedy, I wouldn't back it as to be something you'd want to do, because you don't strike me. You're not a guy who wants a bunch of attention in general.
No.
So what
No,
was it about comedy? Like, what was it with comedy that you decided, you know what, I will get up and stand up in front of a whole group of people?
Well, back, just responding to that in part, when I was living in the UK, I did a gig at a comedy club in Hampstead. There are two. It was the least famous one, the name of which I can't remember. But there was a curtain at the back of the stage, and I said to the guy running it, next time I really would like to perform behind the curtain. And he said, next time you're back, we'll do it. But I moved back here, so that never happened. But
You could have been the seer of comedy.
yeah, sure, I would have another wig. But what made me do it? I definitely don't seek attention. There are various stand-up cliches that annoy me, and one is the failed rock star kind of
Class clown.
the wannabe rock star, class clown, all that sort of thing. I discovered I could make people laugh, which I think, without getting heavily into psychology things, was a defense thing or something, or a masking thing when I was at school, and it's just a nice thing to do. And it's more, for me, it's about making people laugh. It's not about me.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself a performer. I'm delivering jokes. And if someone wanted to buy my entire set for what it would actually be worth to
Tell the audience.
well, yeah.
Make an offer.
Well, probably have to be someone, a fairly notable comedian that
Has the money.
has the money and the style fits.
Yeah.
I would.
Have you sold jokes to comedians before?
I have.
Are you at liberty to name any names of people you've helped write for? Or is that all part of the code?
I'll go with no. I'll go with no, I'm not at liberty. Some comedians know some, but there's a kind of controversial.
Yeah, it's interesting because say we move this whole thing over to music industry, like if you were writing songs for an artist for them to sing.
Yeah. If I was Sia,
you get part of the licensing, you get so you get there's a much more structured industry around who gets paid what the value of a song is.
And you can't steal the song without a lawyer stepping in.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we work in comedy.
Yeah.
And you work in short form jokes, which are
very easy to steal.
But and I've apologised several times for that. You and I have very different styles.
Yeah, no. Actually, this is not probably of interest to anyone at home, but there's I'll try to remember the thing a bit I thought of the other day that I thought would suit you.
Really?
I was thinking I'll have to put my brain to it, going, this is longer form and kind of chatty. I was thinking of trying it somewhere, but it's long. And I think even if it works for me, I might still just go, hey, look, do you want it? Because it's, we'll see.
Yeah.
You could definitely.
How long is a long joke for you? Because a lot of, like, you can rack up multiple jokes a minute. How long is a long joke for you considered?
I haven't timed it. My shortest joke is 3 words. What comes down to sentences. So I suppose my longest joke is probably 6 or 7 sentences, maybe. I don't even know if it might be shorter. I'm not sure.
That's economical. That's super economical.
That's a lot of sentences. The long jokes I do, the first time I do them, they're kind of terrifying because there's an awful lot of talking, and if that last line isn't funny, whereas if it's one setup and a punchline, or just one punchline, if it's not funny, well, that's fine. You're on to the next one, which might be something you already know works. But if you stand there and do, you talk for a minute and a half, and the big thing at the end, actually none of my jokes would be anywhere near that long. 45 seconds, I don't know. Even that's probably too long.
Because I remember years ago, like, I say years ago, it was pre-COVID, so it all feels like the before times.
Yeah.
You and I think we were doing, maybe it was at the store or whatever, and you could tell me exactly how many jokes were in the length of the set you did.
Yeah, I'm counting them, and if you really want to get strange with it, if you put a digital counter in front of me, but if I know I've got a digital counter, I will know where I should be in the set. But
That's crazy to me. I
Yeah,
wish
it's
I had
crazy.
that discipline.
No, it's not. It's not discipline. It's something else.
Is it? But it strikes me like, and this is one of the things I like about comedy too, is everyone, like, you find your own way to do it. Like, this is the style, like, knowing you both on stage and off, I can't, and it might be just I've got a bad imagination, but I can't picture you, I can't imagine you being comfortable or wanting to do a different style
No,
of comedy.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the attention thing. Maybe even though I'm still on the stage for the same amount of time, I only need your attention for a sentence, and then I do it again. Whereas I'm not. I think I'd be a rubbish dinner party guest. I'm not sitting at the end of the table telling you that
Holding
story.
court.
No. Oh no. I'm not a hold court person at all. No.
But that's interesting because I think because like the way you look at it is like, that's the safety. You only need the attention for the shortest amount of time. But where my instinct with one-liners is the set's living and dying on every joke.
Yes.
Whereas for my style, I can sort of get by with a bit of I can get by in some ways with a bit of attitude or charm or whatever, get the audience to like me. And that's part of my thing is if I get them to like me and make them feel like I'm just talking to them, if they don't see the joke coming, then I'm more likely to surprise them. Whereas yours is more like, my instinct is to me, yours is the high wire act.
It's a stupid choice. It is, because it also becomes, if people aren't on board with it, if they want you to be chatting with them, then they don't like you. And if they don't like a joke, there's just kind of silence, or or two people laughing or whatever. Because whereas if you're doing your sort of storytelling, which is not to take away from that, I wish I could do it. If I could do it, it would make life much less torturous, or at least less torturous comedy-wise. But I think the whole storytelling thing is a remarkable skill, and the people that can do that, I when I started, I tried writing not really story-ish things, and I think I got one joke into what was going to be the first story, and it got a laugh, and I went, "Get out while you're ahead," and I moved on to the next completely different thing. But if a one-liner doesn't work, it's clearly a one-liner. Whereas if you're telling an entertaining story, maybe it literally happened on the way to the gig, and you're telling them, and the fact that it's not hilarious, they'll forgive you because they like you and they're enjoying the story, but they're not waiting for big laugh.
See, I'm a bit like you in that I wouldn't consider myself a storyteller type comedian.
No,
in a lot of ways, I'm sort of I don't know. I'm in that in between where there's jokes constructed as a story in some but short form thoughts. Really, I'm more bits, I think.
Yeah, I suppose I haven't really thought about it. And
thanks a lot. I thought a lot about your.
But if you've put, I don't do a podcast. I don't have to.
You didn't. Yeah, in fairness, you didn't invite me on your podcast, so why would you?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because I'm with you. Like, but is that what? So, obviously, I find too my taste in comedy, like people I like watching, it's often the people that are doing something that I can't do. So I love watching you. I love watching Peter Berner, who does these long constructed.
Yeah. Oh, his brain is like nobody else's. He doesn't do anything that anybody else will ever come up with.
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic.
But so is that what, like, because I find if I'm watching, like, I like watching comedians, I enjoy, there's a bunch of comedians who do similar style or whatever you'd call it to me, more like what I do. But I find when I'm watching them, I am not as lost in the magic trick of it all as I am like sometimes I'm like, oh, I like how they've constructed that. Like I get more technical in my enjoyment.
Right.
Whereas when I watch you or I watch Burner or I watch someone who just tells a real long, entertaining story with lots of laughs through the way, I just get carried through. Like it's like watching as an audience member rather than as a colleague who's watching from a technical perspective. So what kind of comedy do you actually enjoy, or do you not watch any comedy?
I will, probably the easiest answer is to rattle off my favourite comedians.
Yeah.
Daniel Kitson by a long way. Then Stuart Lee. Possibly Dave Gorman for number 3. Bill Bailey. Bill Bailey would maybe Bill for number 3, Gorman for 4. And what all those people have in common is they've all, in one way or another, elevated the form. They're doing more than they're doing way more than what I'm doing.
I was going to say, you like your brain engaged based on those.
Yeah, very much. I put Pete Burner up there at 5 or 6 or somewhere. He's definitely in the he's in the top 6, and I'm now trying to think. I don't know who.
Yeah, you like the comedians that people watch that give the rest of us the reputation that, oh, you've got to be really smart to be a comedian. I'm like, no, you don't, because I've spent time with them. Trust me, there's plenty of them that aren't.
Yeah.
But when you get a real good brain who's a good comedian, that's something. I'm a bit like you. That's something special.
Well, those I like. All of the ones I mentioned, but Daniel Kitson and Stuart Lee in particular, I could watch exactly the same set every single night, and it's like just watching. It's watching something I definitely don't think I could ever do. There are so many other things going on, and it's kind of fun. You mentioned the magic trick thing. It's fun watching, like when you've seen the trick in a way, then seeing, the second night I see there's where you did that.
Yeah.
But that they all the top 4 there, they all just completely elevated the bar. They all brought something else that people weren't doing, which I suppose I find that inspiring. So I guess I like comedians that inspire me to be better, even if I don't think for a second I could ever be that good.
Yeah, that's a nice way to look at it though. Like, yeah, it's like comedians that inspire you to be better. They are like that. When you were naming those, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, knowing your taste, because you've got good taste in music and comedy and just in general. Like you've things you've recommended to me over the years.
Prawn chips.
Yes, you got me onto the purple corn chips.
Yeah, that particular brand doesn't exist anymore, as far as I know.
We didn't support them hard enough. Damn it.
Yeah.
They were delicious. But so have you worked with any of those guys? Because you've opened for some big names.
I've been shared a stage with on the same lineup with Stuart and Dave when I lived in the UK.
Can I say you are the opposite of the young, over-enthusiastic comedian who is on a lineup with someone, then is next to I opened for. You are you are the ultimate. You will undersell anything you've done.
Yeah.
I love it. I find it so funny because it's taken me over the time we've known each other, just picking out by talking to you, picking out little details and going, geez, Bruce did that. That's really, and it's you've never you've never mentioned anything to me in any way that could even be construed as slightly braggadocious. It's like stuff that other people would have mentioned. Oh yeah, I know this person, or I know that
No,
person. It just comes up naturally and you're almost dropping the name and walking away from it. You don't want to seem like that.
I'm just thinking about that going, I have written for and with 2 people who aren't on that list, who are right up there. But am I supposed to name them?
You can name them.
I spent 2 weeks writing with Noel Fielding just before COVID, banging our heads against the wall, trying to get a brilliant idea he had for a series to work.
Oh wow!
And we ended up coming up with about 3 other ideas for series, but the idea that we were trying to make work, we ultimately concluded, or Noel did, that he worked out why it was unwritable. So we wrote 1 episode that worked, but it was kind of like an episode of The Mighty Boosh, and my thinking on it was, well, this would be better with Julian in it, because it was sort of Howard Moon's character would have been perfect to put in this particular scenario. The character who Noel would have been, I guess, like a Vince sort of character, maybe. Although yes, I remember who he was going to be, but it became unwritable. We could write 1 episode, and then we could never work out why the Howard Moon character would ever endure this experience again. So, hence it would work as a one-off in the way that the Mighty Boosh episodes are one-offs.
Yeah, there's no overarching structure.
No, each one is a different weird thing. But we couldn't come up with a logical reason. And there was another issue involved with the logic of it in terms of subverting audience expectations, which requires a sort of a universal understanding of a thing. But if everyone has a different imagination for what that thing could be, you're in trouble comedy-wise. You can, if you describe the royal family, everyone knows what that is, roughly. But if this was, describe a dream, well, it's endless. And how do you make something? This wasn't about a dream, but how do you make something funny in a dream? Because an elephant runs through and it's a dream. It doesn't matter.
There's no stakes.
No. No. I suppose in an actual dream, this wasn't a dream. It was the equivalent of.
So that's interesting, because that's something I've found.
The other one was Rich Hall.
Oh, Rich Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
For Rich, what was that show called? It was on the BBC. We wrote Rich Hall's badly funded something or other.
I like the title already.
Yeah.
How does your approach different, say, project to project? Like, what's your most enjoyable things you work on? If I said tomorrow, Bruce, you can have your dream writing project, what are we talking about?
I would be getting paid to write feature films, probably horror comedy, or getting paid to take other people's horror comedy or comedy scripts and go through and make them faster and funnier, and probably, if it was horror, higher body count and more blood.
I do like that. Deceptively dark.
I'm a big fan of that stuff.
That's great. So that's the sort of stuff you're attracted to watching. You like horror comedy stuff?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. The films I think of lately, and I'm going to give a big plug to Vicious Fun. Vicious Fun, which is on Shudder it is a film I wish I'd written. Every so often I'll see something and go, damn, I should have written that. That's the sort of idea that maybe eventually I would have had, but someone else had it before me. And I just think it's brilliant. It's dark, but it's very, very funny. And it's very clever. It would have cost them next to nothing to make. So I like, the things I like, I guess, movie-wise, often I suppose this is a hazard of doing it for a job, but I like things that show economy in smartness in the writing. So without any form of spoiler, Vicious Fun, I think, involves maybe 3 locations, 4 at the most, and almost all at one location. And if you can write one of those films and make it as funny as this is, you'll get it made. And
So how did you get into the TV and film writing? Like, did you study at uni, or
No.
What was your path?
I couldn't get out of high school fast enough, but I didn't get out. I wrote jokes I wrote sketches just because I think they were open to it, for a breakfast show that was on, a Sydney breakfast show.
On the radio?
On the radio. And
wow.
When I was like possibly not, maybe just in high school, I was stupidly young. And I just sort of kept doing that. They used to pay me in records. I would go in and...
Because you are an audiophile.
Well, kind of. But I did get some records I was very happy to get that the radio station didn't want either. So, you're giving away records that you should be playing. But that's fine. It's working for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, no, working for me. It's not working for the listeners. And then I tried to get out of doing the HSC by writing a pilot for a sitcom. And I sent it to various people, and it came very close to getting made. I was 15 or 16. And at some point, I think I revealed my age. And that was kind of the end of that. And also, I've since learned that they asked me, how did I see various things? And I answered with things like, nobody in this show is ever, there are no recognizable faces. The audience should not be turning this on and going, oh, there's that person from this show and that person from this show, which is not something any network wants to hear.
No.
But, to me, it was
the integrity of it all.
I didn't want people looking at it and going, that's,
something that draws them out of the reality of the show.
Yeah, whoever. It was meant to be kind of anarchic.
Yeah.
But I was amazed that it got that far. But then so my hope was someone would pick that up so I didn't have to do the HSC. Didn't happen. But I did, through that, get offered some work, just writing, I guess, one-liners, ultimately, for something. And then it was not really actively pursued. I suppose I wrote to people and said, hi, I do this. And they, probably because I was really young, they thought, well, we don't have to pay him much. But for a kid out of school, or a kid still in school for part of it,
yeah,
that was fine. So
if only the money had gone up since then.
Yeah, sadly, that's very close to true. And particularly stand-up, but no.
Yeah, no, there's some of that. Yeah, anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Oh, yeah.
We love our job, Bruce. We love our job.
We do.
That's so when did the stand up? So you're writing for like you're trying to get jokes out there. You're writing. You want to get the sitcom on. When does the stand up come in? What was the impetus for that? Did you?
That's kind of.
You're just sick of seeing people butcher your jokes.
It's probably a little bit of that, but not quite. Actually, wasn't that, but there was something similar. But the weird thing with the stand-up was the first time I ever did it, I was in year 11.
Oh wow!
But I don't know why I decided to do it. I think I
Really didn't want to do the HSC.
No, there was no plan to get out of the HSC. It was a school excursion in New Zealand. Were we in New Zealand? No, we weren't. Why would we be in New Zealand? It was a school excursion to Thredbo.
Oh, yeah,
and I think it was meant, under the guise of a geology.
Yeah, geology skiing. See if you can spot a rock under all this snow.
Geology skiing. We looked at a couple of rocks and then we did some skiing. And there was one night where, and I don't like these as things, but I guess wasn't a talent contest, but it was a sort of talent show or something. And at that point I was writing one-liners for radio. And I think I just thought I liked the idea of making the people laugh, but them looking at me wasn't something I was really after. But I did that, and then I didn't do it for many, many years. That was just this weird one-off. It wasn't, and I can't really think what my motivation was. It was not get up, be a star.
Did it go well?
Yeah, it went really well. And then, so it's odd that I didn't, the moment I left school, I didn't
pursue it.
Because for whatever the reason was on that day, and the weird thing was, I wrote the jokes that afternoon. So I wrote them all and memorized them and had a friend, she kind of dressed me to look a bit weird. And that was kind of what it was. But yeah, I can't wait to get back on a stage. That just didn't happen. The first time I did it, sort of after that, was a friend of mine who knew I was writing for Andrew Denton at the time.
Oh, wow.
Said, why aren't you doing stand-up? And she gave me she's probably ultimately the push. But after that, I think I kind of went, yeah, still. And one night I was with a couple of friends seeing Peter Berner and the comedian who doesn't perform anymore called Russell Smythe. And apparently they, after those sets, a comedy writer friend of mine, Simon Dodd, a brilliant comedy writer, and his wife, they came, and my other friends, David and Jen, were there, who lived about 3 doors up from the pub. They, unbeknownst to me, were discussing, saying, we think Bruce should be doing this. And someone in that, I guess Simon or David or Jen, mentioned that to me. And I thought, oh, okay. I still wasn't really, well, whatever. But the final push was Jane, that used to book the Comedy Store when it was just down the road from here, when it was in Petersham.
Yep.
She rang me up and said, I've got a friend who's with the Penthouse Pets. She wants to do stand-up. Would you write some material for her? And are you laughing because I've told you this story?
No, I'm laughing because this is the greatest way to get into stand-up ever.
So I had probably 4 years prior, I'd been in LA trying to shift a comedy script, and I saw female comedian who was just brilliant, whose name, I can't think of her name, but I do know she was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She's the one that's not Sabrina.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. What is her name? She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good.
And I'd never heard of her. I heard her on the radio in one of those trashy sort of rock and roll shops on Sunset. And I thought, who is this? And they said, she's on tonight at the Improv. No, not the Improv. Or was it? Yeah, I think it was the Improv. And I went, and it was an all-women night. And I turned up at the box office and said, I want to buy a ticket. And the girl behind the counter looked at me really weirdly. And she said, what? And I said, I want to buy a ticket. And she just said, wait there. She goes away, comes back with the manager and says, can I help you? I said, I want to buy a ticket for the show. And she said, you know they're all women. And I said,
This is the people who are selling the
I
tickets.
know. And I said, yes. And she went, sell him a ticket. And I think most of the people there probably hadn't even paid. I think it was one of those LA showcase sort of things where everyone's just trying to get deals. But with apologies to the woman from Sabrina.
I'll you know what? I'll put it in at the end. I'll look it up and I'll put it in. I'll forget her name too. But she is very funny.
And she was brilliant. She came out not looking like her material. She came out looking kind of all fluffed up and a bit sort of like she's going to be ditzy. And her material was so sharp. And I just thought, this is fantastic. And so when Jane told me about this woman with the penthouse pets, I thought, fantastic, I'm going to weaponize a penthouse pet. She's going to look like a penthouse pet, but I'm going to arm her with material like a Sabrina comic. And
Bill Bailey, but penthouse pet style. Like the thinking ladies pet.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think who else, but material-wise, Jack D or something, although I hadn't seen Jack at that point, so I don't know. But tight, edgy material. And then this woman came round to my flat and...
Mate, this is the start of the movie.
She was like... edit this out if you need to, I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Okay. She used the word gash twice in the first minute. The important word in the phrase with the penthouse pets was with. She was not a penthouse pet. She was with them. She was basically a female Rodney Rude. No disrespect to Rodney, but stylistically, that in your face. And she was the woman that toured with the penthouse pets and came out. She was the MC, and she just wanted funny material as an MC for the penthouse pets. I think this will be close to a quote. I just want some jokes before I say, you want to see some gash? And I was just kind of, oh, okay. And she was...
You've come to the right place. That's your time of comedy.
So I actually wrote some jokes that were suitable for the Sabrina comic. Oh, I wish I could remember her name. I'm so sorry if she ever sees this. But...
Look it up while you're talking.
Oh, too late. You're going to have to edit around all this.
No.
Stop now.
Just keep talking.
How are you doing this? You're looking up on a phone. So I wrote some jokes, and in the end,
Carolyn Reese.
That's her.
Yeah.
Carolyn Reese.
Carolyn Ray, sorry.
Carolyn Ray.
Yeah. She's super funny.
Yeah. So I wrote. I still did what my goal was to write what I would write if I was weaponizing an actual penthouse pet.
Yeah.
Or anyone, I guess. And then I started thinking, why am I not giving, I guess I would have been paid, but this woman hasn't earned the laughter that these jokes will get. And I think all the comedians I've ever written for have earned the laughter. Even if I write the joke, they've proven themselves. They are great comedians, and they already get loads of laughs, but generating mountains of material for the endless kind of treadmill is difficult. But it's no, you've earned this. It's not a scam. When I didn't want to create something where they walked out, even though this contradicts the weaponized thing, where I felt that was a different thing. A weaponized penthouse pet was different to a not funny stand-up who
just all they want is a bit of fun before that, something a bit funny. Like they don't actually that statement of I just want something a bit funny before I say, do you want to see some gash, shows you the level of care she has for whatever you're writing.
Yeah. Well, I suppose also that I didn't like comedians that write their own material or got to where they are by doing that. I don't know what the word is, but the fact that it's genuine.
Yes.
That you see you on stage, of Berner, Tommy, Kitty, Carl, all those people, and
that's a nice group you've put me in, by the way. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. There's no, you're not being deceived. Now, when you see Kitty Flanagan on the stage, every single joke in that set is Kitty Flanagan. She does not have anyone writing for her.
Yeah, and it's her point of view, and it's her.
Unlike, say, Joan Rivers, who was a great comedian, but she had a mountain of writers.
Yes.
And so I thought there was that thing in me where I thought, well, hang on, it's not going to be you. People will be seeing you. So, and in the end, this one rang up and said, oh, look, I don't think we're really a good match, are we? And I went, no. But I had all these jokes that I had written for her. So I went, and I also had a lot of jokes that I'd written for the Denton TV show that hadn't made the monologue that I felt were better than jokes that had. So I thought, well, I'd like to test that. So it was kind of that part was like a science experiment. And my first set at the Harold Park was the jokes from the Penthouse Woman's set that I could do that weren't gender specific.
Did you go with her closer?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to see some gas?
Well, I got the light. I rocketed through the time before I got to that. So,
Damn,
well, that was hers.
Closer.
That was her material, though. I wasn't going to do her material. And so my first set was probably half. It was some jokes that I'd written for Denton. Denton, the TV show.
Yeah.
No, I'm not referring to Andrew as Denton. And some that I'd written for this woman. And I had no idea how many jokes would fit in the time, but I had far too many on my list to fit in the time. So it was kind of really just testing the jokes. It was something to do. I didn't have anything else to really do.
That's interesting. So it's like the motivation's more about testing the material. It's not to do with to you as the performer. It's to do with the jokes as the material that's being written.
Yeah, which is why I don't get to do new material nights or as often as I used to or as I would like to, in part because it consumes a lot of time and you have to be a bit mindful about what you're allocating time to.
Yes.
But I think there might be one or two now that are different, but when I lived in the UK, there were dedicated new material nights where you would get Stuart Lee and Milton Jones and Harry Hill and people of that level, Al Murray and people that would come down. And as an audience member, it was a bit of potluck. You didn't know who you were going to get, but they were working comics. So you were trying, and I used to love that. I used to do that every week.
Yeah.
And it was, as terrifying as it was, I felt like a real comedian. Even though, so now I do stand up. I I would feel more like a real comedian if I was in the routine or a position to be doing new material every week, and for it to be kind of beneficial.
Yeah. So with that, because you've got your TV writing, your film writing, you've got your stand up, you write like you've got fingers in many pies, the animation, all that sort of stuff. If I said to you, you can have your like 3 years time, you get your dream job constructing in terms of how much time you put into each thing, your percentage this on stand up or TV writing or film writing or whatever. What does that look like? The dream structure for you? How much? Like what's the one that you're most sort of that fills the hole most, like the passion?
Oh, probably film scripts, but that's that a friend of mine once described that as buying a lottery ticket, which it kind of is. I mean, I would love to be in the position of someone like Shane Black, who if you've got a half-assed action script and the studio's got the money, they phone him and he fixes it.
Script doctor.
Yeah, that to me would be. I suppose my ideal thing would be doing that 2 or 3 days a week to pay the bills. I still would like to do stand up, and in fact, if I could create more space in the week to work on the lottery ticket,
Yeah.
But also to feel, well, if I spend an afternoon working on new material, and if I had somewhere I could go and do that new material to not just a room full of other comedians.
I have a venue for you. I'll tell you off air.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, because that you probably need to edit this out. Really,
No.
I don't want to come across like I'm not slagging off those rooms, not at all. But
not in any way, shape, or form. Because you work to, when you're doing paid gigs, you're doing them to an audience that is, sort of a more general population.
It's a very different feeling.
Some of those open mic rooms, if comedians have a different sensibility.
Oh, totally.
So getting the read on the material is not the same thing.
That's the real issue with it.
Yeah.
The room I used to do a lot, which was Comedy on the Edge. I remember doing one joke there which just destroyed the room, but I tried it at a couple of other venues where I guess the audience wouldn't have been that skewed towards comedians, but there still were a lot, and it was a tiny room with a low roof. So, even.
Is this the vacuum joke?
What's the vacuum joke?
You had a cat vacuum joke.
Oh, the cat vacuum joke.
That I loved. And you told me it wouldn't work everywhere, but I absolutely adored that joke.
Don't even remember the cat vacuum joke.
It was to do with no sound. There's no sound in a vacuum.
Yeah, right.
Because your cat was scared of the vacuum.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a master set list with things that probably say vacuum. When I used to print them out, I would have it with me in my back pocket, that in case something went horribly wrong, I needed to refer to it. But I've never actually had to. I had to do it a few times with new material, but occasionally I would do it just because it would get a laugh. I'd go, I sort of know what the next joke is, but if I get this bit of paper out and look at it, there's a bit of prop humor,
bit of magic,
bit of prop comedy.
Look at him, he's a prop comic.
What the hell was the? The different audience. Whereas rooms that don't exist anymore, particularly, what was the one underneath Wheels and Doll Baby in Darlinghurst that Reese ran?
The
Comedy
lounge.
It was full, and it was general public, but they were pretty smart. And if a joke didn't work there, then it probably was not going to work at the Comedy Store. Whereas you had the Mic in Hand, they were a bit too smart. At the peak of Mic in Hand, you would do jokes there and they would all get them. But those jokes might not work at the Epping Hotel. Sounds like I'm slagging off Epping or something, but it's just a different...
No, it's different audiences,
different audience,
sensibility, and different. Like at the peak of the Mic in Hand, they were people who were comedy regulars, so they could buy into the construct quicker. They knew what was going on. A bit
like in England, you can do a lot more with comedy because they have seen, even though these Stuart, actually some of them are quite big now, but even though the average English person into comedy will tell you Michael McIntyre is their favourite comedian, there are enough
working comics.
I was going to say there are enough audience. The people are used to Stuart Lee. They're used to Harry Hill. They're used to so many different.
Yeah, when they've seen more, they've got more context for what's going on, so they're willing to go, okay, comedy can be this, but it can also be this. They don't have a singular impression.
There was a guy when I worked there, he was called Danny and his Yellow Balloons. I think he was kind of perpetually open mic, really, but he was very funny, and he was exactly what that sounds like.
Yeah.
But there were some really strange maverick acts that here I think a suburban audience here would be baffled by, or Bathurst or anywhere. Even the Comedy Store, I think, would be baffled. But in the good rooms in England, because they've seen so much, that they've seen Noel Fielding stand up, and they've seen there was the guy who looked like he was in the Addams Family. He played a double bass. You probably needed to be there to know who he was. But there were so many very highly educated, very intelligent, quirky comedians that the audience was ready to give it a go. Whereas I'm totally strayed from, just audiences testing whether a joke will work. You need an audience that's kind of a rough representation of what you would get at the Comedy Store or at
or most gigs that you're going to end up doing,
or anywhere. Yeah, it's a room where with 20 people in it and 12 of them are comedians is going to give you a very skewed perspective, or 50 people and they're all doing physics degrees or something,
it's bad sampling.
So
with that, before we go, because we are getting to time here,
you're going to edit all this out, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to edit it all out. There's some gold in there. But couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. Obviously, tell me about. Now, this is a name that I was trying to tease out of you. I had a plan to try and tease it out of you, and it didn't work. Because tell me about opening for Henry Rollins.
Because I think you're going to go Jason Alexander there.
This is the thing. I was talking to the people you've opened for, and there's two massive names.
TV Smith from the adverts. And the Thought Criminals.
Who's your favourite that whose audience were the most fun to play for? Because not every audience, when you're an opening act, not every audience is ready to see the opening act or cares.
Well, with Jason, was I on first? I was second. I was early-ish. I wasn't first, but yeah, that was fun. That was the Enmore, I think. I sort of get the Enmore and State a bit mixed up, so I think that was at the Enmore.
What a great luxury to have.
Oh yeah, I've been on those stages a total of I think 3 times. But come on, you've been on stages with Jamal that are probably bigger than them. But Jason's audience was great, but not. I mean, I guess they were a kind of smart audience because they were, I suppose, ultimately Seinfeld fans, and that was a smart show. And he also gave me the best introduction that I've had in my entire life. So if you have Jason,
as the bloke who's regularly introduced you over the years, that hurts.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think Jim Hare's got it on video. If he has, I keep thinking I should get it from him. But
What did he say?
the compressed version is, this is the guy that wrote most of my material for tonight, which is kind of true. And that's right, I wrote for Jason Alexander. Sorry.
This is what I mean. It's like
sorry.
getting you to brag is like pulling teeth.
I forget about that. This is the guy that wrote most of this material, which is, I think, about half of it, really. And he basically, he saved my skin tonight. Without him, I wouldn't be here live. It was a really, really flattering introduction. And to have that from Jason Alexander, the audience is already, well, we like this guy. That's can't go wrong.
You are a stickler for do not talk me up, don't raise their expectations.
But I'm not going to tell Jason Alexander what to do. And also, he
More
didn't
than happy
ask
to tell me what to do.
But he didn't ask me. Oh, yeah, well...
I've got some cold handshakes from you walking on stage when you've thought I've oversold you to an audience.
Oh, I don't like shaking hands. It's probably more to do with that.
But I can see in your eyes. I can tell in your.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry.
Not in a bad way.
That's
I just go. Bruce is worried I've oversold him, but I don't think I've ever oversold you because you've always lived up to exactly whatever it is, and exceeded.
You've not. Peter Mizell once introduced me as, forget Robin Williams, forget Billy Connolly.
We weren't thinking about either of those people till you mentioned their names.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're going to forget them.
Now we've got an audience that is expecting a combination between Robin Williams and Billy Connolly.
Well, you do have those long stories, and you are super energetic. So.
Yeah, and the outrageous cocaine habit and all that sort of stuff. So opening for Jason was great.
So how did the Rollins thing happen?
The Rollins thing happened.
That was spoken word he was doing, so it's not comedy.
But it's kind of funny at times. He is.
Oh, I imagine he'd have, like, it'd be a spoken word, like that type of spoken word can be dramatic and then humor. Like, it's like a long storytelling like that should have humor and drama.
Well, his audiences were great because, again, smart. But they didn't even, I don't think most of them even really knew I was on. And even though the promoter went out of his way to sort of mention it, that people kind of don't read below Henry Rollins. They people these days tend to, how little information can I get away with before I can move on, because I've got a lot to move on to. So I think a lot didn't know, I'm sure a lot didn't know I was on. The first time it happened, Henry's promoter at the time for every single tour except the last one was Tim Pittman from Field Presents, who I've known for a long time. And something changed in terms of the visa requirements. Henry had never needed a support for his solo spoken word, but someone in the department of whatever it was changed.
Oh, change a rule.
And said, you need a support. So Tim rang me up and said, do you want to open for Henry Rollins? And I thought, well, that's kind of terrifying because his audience doesn't want to see me. But I liked the idea of meeting Rollins and getting to know Henry. And
did you it sounds like one of those hypothetical questions that the answer would vary desperately based on which era of Henry Rollins you were opening for it. Like if it's Black Flag Day.
Oh God, no.
That
I'm dead. I'm dead. Do you want to go on before? Yeah, it was a general rule. I've been offered For years, the Celibate Rifles wanted me to open for them. But as a general rule, you don't open for a rock and roll band. You just don't. You're asking for trouble. No one, people.
Well, Bobcat Goldthwait famously opened for Nirvana, and because they thought he was funny, and the audience
They would have hated him.
Hate him.
They would have hated him.
But the Nirvana thought it was hilarious to watch. To watch their audience.
Kind of cruel.
And but they also loved Bobcat, so they were like.
Was this when Nirvana were huge?
I don't think when they were. Yeah, maybe early huge.
Pretty big.
Pretty big.
So as long as Bobcat was getting paid quite well, but it's still torture.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were, that'd be still tough. With Henry's audience, I found I could get them on stage very quickly. I'd get them on side very quickly with a customized opening. And also, I discovered by accident that, because the lights would go down, and Henry's got a mixtape that he's playing, and they're all, it might as well be my record collection. So I'm backstage listening to all my favourite songs. So I'm already just kind of in a good mood, unusually. And I don't think I ever got introduced.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there was an introduction. So the lights would go down.
Yeah, Henry.
Yeah, and they would see a figure walk out.
Oh. They'd be like, well, we shorter than I thought.
But quite early we did 2 tours. The first was just 4 dates. And then in 2012, we did 13, I think. Or maybe 9 and 4, I'm not sure. But quite early on in the 2012 tour, we did Newcastle. And they messed up the lighting. And they didn't get the light on until I was already at the microphone. So all they saw was a figure they could kind of see in blackness walking towards the mic, who they all thought was Henry Rollins. And then the spotlight hit me looking like I do, and in a fluffy purple jumper and long hair, and that got a laugh. So after that, we started doing that deliberately.
That's a great
So it was just this shock of who the hell is this? But then you got about one line before they turn. But they were good because they were smart, and I think out of respect, wanting to listen. I don't know.
Yeah, they're also turned up to something that they know. This is like if you're turning up to spoken word, you're listening to someone like that speak. You're turning up to listen, which your jokes.
Oh, true.
For anyone who wants to sit and pay attention, there's in your set. I don't care what your sense of humor is. There's a good percentage for even if you've got a really, really specific sense of humor, there's a really good chance that at least 2 or 3 of your jokes are going to hit on that like specific sense of humor, because they're just. I find your jokes very accessible. My boys saw you at one of the gigs we did at the town hall,
Right,
for the seniors festival, and they'll still every now and then quote one of your jokes to me. They really loved your set. But they were, and at the time they were both, I think they were in primary school, like they might have been year 6 and year 4. But, you know, they didn't get necessarily every one, but they took away plenty in those, like just.
Yeah.
Because I think too, it tickled their brain the way, like, without giving away some of your jokes, some of the ones that were a bit clever, that they felt proud that they got them.
Yeah, right. I opened for Raymond Crowe, the unusualist, a very nice man, when he was at the peak of the shadow puppet thing. And they needed an opening act for him. That was at the Enmore. And Artie from A-List said, it's got to be clean. I thought, well, yeah, that's easy enough. I don't really, do a clean set. But I did one joke, and as I did it, I thought, hang on, this probably shouldn't be in the set. And I could hear the laughter of little kids. And I just thought, it required them to be able to do a bit of assembly. It wasn't, here's a smarty punchline. It's here's a completely straight line that you actually have to do some work
That
with.
will either fly over your head or it will be the most satisfying joke
And
you've heard
these
to
little
date.
kids, these kids are laughing. But I don't know what age they would have been. I still think very fondly of my lovely friend Emma brought her daughter Alice and Alice's best friend when they were 7 to see me when the other Glebe venue.
Not the Harold Park.
No. This was the upstairs one. Maybe I would have thought you would have been.
Mic in hand, upstairs.
It's kind of technically Forest Lodge, I think was.
Oh yeah. Where was that?
The pub is definitely still there. I can't think, but once a month, they had a PG night. The idea was that people could bring their kids, and
Roxbury.
Roxbury. So Emma had told Alice she'd filmed me doing a couple of jokes. So she brought Alice and Alice's friend along.
I think I was at this night.
Were you?
Yeah.
But the audience was really uncomfortable because there were 2 7-year-old girls in the front row.
And so was I, because I think I had to perform at some stage.
Yeah, that was, and so they were anything that was a bit edgy, they were, we don't know how to react. But I remember so fondly Alice and her friend and Emma and her friend's mum, but particularly Alice and friend, laughing their heads off at my Barbie joke. And I keep that joke in the set for them because I thought this has the approval of 2 7-year-old girls. It's I like it.
That's the Barbie demographic.
Well, I suppose I have jokes that I like, and as long as someone really likes it.
That's a dark concept in terms of Barbie too.
Oh, it is.
That joke. That's so, but that you're. That's almost awakening a sense of humor in a little kid where they're doing the thing and they're knowing what you're talking about, so they feel grown up, but you've made it accessible to them. That's a very satisfying.
That joke now some audiences aren't even sure about.
It's weird the way the world's things are like that.
But I have jokes that occasionally some I keep because at some point, if I'm fond of the joke, someone in the audience has really, really loved it. There's one I can't think what it is that Akmal loves, and every time if he's in, I have
Mate, you got to dig up the cat in the vacuum joke.
I remember. I can't think what the joke. Once Akmal was up the back of the Comedy Store, I put his favourite joke back in just for him. There was one laugh, and it was Akmal back of the room.
He would have loved that. There was a joke Jim Owen was doing for a little bit that I saw him do at something, and I loved it. And I said to him, I hadn't seen him in a bit, and then I bumped into him, and I said, I love that joke. He goes, I haven't done. I'll do it. I said, mate, you got to do that. And he went up, and it just flat. And I haven't seen him do it since. But I felt really guilty because he was having this cracking set, and they were just like,
yeah,
with that one joke. But it's still one of my favourite jokes of his. So
yeah, I have another joke I kind of can't do anymore that I know Steve Hughes used to love. But
that's nice too when comedians have a joke. When you've created an impression where I really like that joke that you do. That's a nice, I don't know, like I like that thing where whenever I've had a compliment from a comedian about a joke, that sort of means a fair bit too.
Oh, like I probably won't get the football, your NRL bit.
Oh, yeah.
Which I just think is it's genius. I always want you to do that before me because if the audience, you've got them, they've maximum thinking caps on now.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
That's I did that once in front of you, and I sort of almost stumbled on it as I was doing it, realised it was a good way to introduce you because it was such a structured 1, 2, 3 punchline sort of rule of 3, classic rule of 3. Here it is, and you tell them what you're gonna.
Right.
I've got 3. There's 3 reasons for this. 1, boom. 2, but it sets that nice this is a proper joke structure, which gets them in that, like you said, thinking cap, but it gets them in that frame of mind for when you walk on, they're already in a joke structure frame of mind.
Right.
They don't have to adjust. And there was quite a while I was doing that joke when I'd bring you on, because I knew that, okay, if I get them thinking like that, then it's easy for Bruce. They're already on board with, his where he's going to go.
Yeah. There was another joke that I don't do anymore. I might put in one day just for your benefit. And I'll put the cat vacuum cleaner joke back in.
Yes.
If I can find it. It must be somewhere in my computer.
It'll be there.
But I did this joke, and I was determined to make this joke. And audiences were just baffled all the time. And I did it once at the store, and some guy in the front row went, "That is a perfect joke." And I thought, fine, every so often I'm going to put it in just because you said that. But he's the only person I think's ever responded that way. I think people go, it's a single line. There's not even there's not a set up punchline. It's one sentence, and that,
which is the hardest type of joke to write.
Oh, because people are then often waiting for a punchline. That was you have to work
You got to do
that
some
out.
of the lifting here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, mate. I think we are about at time. I will get you back at some stage because I do want to talk roller coasters. Because you're a roller coaster enthusiast.
Yes.
Excellent. And I want to talk music because you always have good music recommendations and good music stories. So
I forget them, and then you remind me of things like Roland's.
That's insane. Was he a nice man?
He's fantastic. And one of absolutely fantastic. Wonderful man to tour with. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Sadly, whoever was in charge of the visas changed. And when he came back and did the massive tour, the one before the last one, where he and I would have got to do that tour, he no longer
was required to have
one. So,
but we're going to write to our local members.
Yeah, well, one of the fabulous things among many was he didn't talk comedy backstage. So usually, unfortunately, you can find yourself backstage here, or no, not so much in the UK, although maybe now, who knows, but with people kind of complaining about, oh, that person only won this because they're this, or they've only got that because they're this, or whatever. None of that with Henry. Henry's talking music. So he's going,
you're in heaven.
Oh, yeah, have you heard this band? Have you heard this band? Have you got this? No, bring in a hard drive. So I'm bringing in a hard drive, and he's giving me I don't know how many hundreds of tracks that I ended up with after that Rollins tour. But here's a whole compilation that he'd made of West Coast American punk. A lot of it I knew, and a lot of it I had no idea who these bands were.
But you got to trust the taste of a guy like that.
Oh yeah, no, it's all great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you get a recommendation from someone who knows knows an area so well.
So, do you have Hardcore Devo volumes 3 and 4? No, they don't exist. I've got them. Bring it. Bring.
Oh, that's fantastic, mate. Heaps more to talk about, but for now, we're going to leave it. But before we go, plug anything you want to plug. Do you even do social media?
No. People. I don't trust. Every so often I get a message on Facebook going, 15 people have looked at your page, but I don't think they have. I think that's Facebook trying to get me to engage more. There's
a good chance, but I like the suspicion too.
Well, yeah, but I think occasionally I know, at the Comedy Store or something, I think people try to find me on Instagram or something. I have an Instagram account in which I have posted absolutely nothing, and I possibly never will. I kind of think if I post something, I want it to, I'd like it to be as good as the jokes, and you can't test it. You can't.
No.
So you think, well, this might be rubbish. And I have a stand-up Facebook page, but I don't think I haven't posted anything on that for a long time. No, I think there's just so much noise out there. There are so many people shoving things at you, and I think, nah.
All right. Well, good luck finding Bruce. But if you do happen to see his name on a lineup ever promoted, go see him. I promise you won't be disappointed. And mate, always a pleasure. You and I are working together tomorrow morning. It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, thank you.